We continue our series on home education approaches. Our topic for discussion is the eclectic approach. Joining me on the lounge is Chirani Meyer. As a veteran home educator and activist, she is well known in the home education community. Her twin sons have completed their GED and are enrolled at online animation schools in USA. Her eldest daughter is 16 and completing her matric this year through the GED. Chirani is still actively homeschooling her youngest daughter. Chirani, please tell us what the eclectic approach to home education is and how does it differ from formal school that most of us are familiar with?
Okay, eclectic home education is a highly customized approach to home education where the parent gets to choose the best parts of different educational resources for their children's education. So, for instance, they choose books or videos, or you could choose online learning, or even hands on practical learning. How it differs from school education is that school is a rigid one-size-fits-all approach, and it's got to do with communal learning, whereas eclectic focuses on the child as individual. And it is flexible so that you can adapt the curriculum to fit your child's changing needs as they grow or as their interests change. You can adapt the curriculum to fit that because children learn best when they're interested in a subject, just like we do. And you can also go at your child's pace, so you don't have to worry about all these milestones that are set up for different ages, because just as you wouldn't expect a child who is 7 to wear the same size shoe as his friend down the street, why would you expect him to be cognitively mature at the same level? So as your child grows cognitively, you can adapt the curriculum to his abilities. Another great point of eclectic homeschooling is that the parent has total control of what the child is taught. A lot of stuff that is taught at school today is very controversial, and not many parents agree with what their children are being taught, but they have no say really in the matter. A parent can also identify the child's interests and find out what gets them going, what lights their fire, and they can feed this interest, and they can provide a space where they can explore this, and they can give them time to explore it. Sadly, at school, many children are so bogged down with assignments, with tests, with exams that are coming up, they don't have time to play, they don't really have time for hobbies. So this is a lovely opportunity you can give your child. You can also identify your child's weaknesses and then speak to those weaknesses and find resources that will help them strengthen those weaknesses.
Chirani, how do we start with an eclectic approach to home education? Do you find that people change over or do they start with it right from the beginning?
Well, the normal scenario is I'm going to homeschool, I'm freaking out, let me take what I know, and the parents tend to buy the school curriculum or they'd buy a curriculum in a box, which has everything for them, and they feel safe in that. They feel, okay, somebody has thought of this for me. I can just sit back and relax. But then as they get into the curriculum, they'll find out that, yes, they like the geography side of it, but their child's not really dealing well with the maths. So I've got to go find something else for maths. And then they find out, yes, the history side is nice, but it's a little bit dry, and then they get into living books. So it's almost as though you evolve into a more eclectic style naturally. Most homeschooling parents do. I would say it's only for the very brave or very bold to start off with eclectic homeschooling. But I was very fortunate in that the curriculum that we chose was KONOS, which was a very I wouldn't say unstructured, but they gave you lots of options you could choose from. So it gave you the freedom to make your own choices within a structure. And we actually found that we didn't stay on KONOS too long because we actually enjoyed exploring on our own later on. So it's yes, it does tend to be more of evolution, but I would say that you're saving yourself a lot of money and stress if you do start off with eclectic home education. Um, when people do start and they decide I'm going to do this, they're normally freaked out and they think, oh my word, what am I doing? How do I know what my kids must learn? How do I know how much they must learn? How do they get tested? I mean, this is all up to me, and the burden can be quite heavy. But It's actually very logical and very practical. So what I would say is that you need to divide it up into your goals. What do you want your child to learn in the primary phase, and what do you want them to learn in the high school phase? Now, in the primary phase, you want to expose your child to a lot of different interests, a lot of different subjects. And so what you want to give him is a buffet, so he can try a little bit of everything. And then with that, you also need to have something which is what I would call a compulsory subject, which is a subject they will need for a matric certificate. So, for instance, maths or English. So you're going to have the free learning side with the structured approach, but only in certain subjects. So because it's eclectic, I can choose different resources from different providers, and I can choose different learning styles within my curriculum. So I'm not strictly Charlotte Mason, I'm not strictly Montessori, I'm not strictly traditional. I take a little bit from each of them and learn from them what I like, and then use it as it suits my family best. Then when you get to the high school phase, hopefully your child has discovered their interest by then, and then you find out which tertiary institution will provide education for your child in this direction, and then find out from them what do they require for matric and what kind of matric certificate do they accept, and then you work on that for high school.
So eclectic is truly tailor-made, and it sounds like you as the parent needs to be quite involved, but do you have to prepare everything? Or as you said, when you use online resources, you can sit back a bit?
Eclectic education approach to homeschooling is kind of like the middle ground between a rigid structured approach and a free unstructured unschooling approach. So I would say about 80% is free learning, which is led by the child's interest, and 20% is structured compulsory learning. Well, that was in my case. Again, I'm only talking from my experience because the nature of eclectic education is that everybody tailor makes it for their own family. So other people might do it differently, but I'm just sharing how it worked for us. So I would say the 80% free learning is a lot of fun. And yes, then you have to find your own resources. It can be a bit time consuming, but for me with my 4 children, I did all the heavy lifting with my first kids, and then with the last one, I've got all the resources and I've done all the activities, and it's so much easier now, and I'm so much more relaxed. So it's a lot more fun and a lot less stressful than if she was at school. So and I think the fact that there was the structured learning that they had to do, for instance, maths, that they had to go through a certain system and they had to complete certain levels to get onto the next level, which is just the nature of maths. I think it's important because, in the real world, my children are going to have to face situations where they can't just do what they like, when they like, and how they like. They're going to have to do things they don't like. And someone's going to say, you have to do it because you have to do it. And through this part of the curriculum, which is more structured, I can give them the tools they need to make peace with that and to get on with it, with hopefully a cheerful disposition. So I like it that we did have that structured part of our learning, not just they can do what they want, when they want, how they want, although that was making the curriculum fun was our main aim.
Yeah, eclectic is a good way to create a love for learning. How important would you say is community and support groups?
I think for homeschooling in general, community is really very important. And I think for eclectic homeschooling especially, because you are kind of going in uncharted waters. And it's really nice to know that you're not alone. And it is nice to exchange ideas with other homeschooling parents, see what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And I think the most important part is hearing from homeschoolers who have been through it, and hearing from homeschool graduates who have followed this approach and are now doing very well in the real world. And yes, I think that kind of support is vital.
Thank you very much for sharing with us your knowledge on the eclectic approach and sharing your personal experience with it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.